Alrighty, folks, she's back. The one and only and great Anna, our AI mom, Kelly. How you doing, Anna?
I'm so good. So good to be back with you.
Absolutely. So in the last couple of weeks, we talked about two exciting things. I thought we should just do an update video. It might be a little shorter than most, but I think it would be relevant. You are trying to assume a VA loan. I think we should get an update on that. I'm sure it will be long and drawn out, but it's been a couple of weeks. And then second, and probably most importantly, you are trying to get some Florida properties insured, having some trouble, but finding a way to get it done. And I think a lot of folks are like,
Yes.
"Hey, can you help me? Can you give me your guy's name so I can get some help as well?" So feel free to start with
Yes.
either of those, but let's do a catch up video.
Wonderful. Yeah. So let's talk about the VA loan assumption. So for anybody that missed the last video, go listen to it because we talk about it kind of in depth and what the
Mm-hmm.
returns might do when you're looking at a property that you're buying for a 2.375% fixed rate mortgage for 30 years
Yeah.
versus, 7.4% or higher for investors on a mortgage today. So I have a property in San Antonio, Texas under contract, and it is a veteran loan. And so basically, three types of loans have assumption clauses: FHA, USDA, and VA when it comes to agencies. But FHA and USDA require you to be an owner occupant in order to buy that property and assume the seller's loan. So VA doesn't actually publish their guidelines, and they technically don't prohibit investors from assuming a VA loan. So one thing that we talked about before is go search on the MLS for the keyword, loan assumption, and look for those that are VA. But it is a long drawn out process, as
Mhm.
you mentioned. So it's been almost a month that I've had the property under contract. We had to fill out a couple of forms for the VA. The seller had to fill out a few, granting me authorization to talk to them, and granting me the ability to take over their loan. I filled out a few and just kept waiting and waiting and waiting. And the VA was supposed to reach out to me. Of course, they didn't. So I called in a few times and followed up and got an appointment. And on that call, they said, "We're scheduling phone applications. So you can't send us anything yet, but
Hmm.
we will schedule a phone application." So that application was 2 weeks out, and I had it yesterday. And
Okay.
so essentially, they go over all your financials on the phone, and then you answer a few questions, and they'll either kind of pre-approve you based on that and send you a loan package to fill out and keep going through their underwriting, or they'll issue you a denial. So what's important that I've learned through this process, because this is the first time I've done one of these, is that while the VA and PennyMac, who owns most of those VA loans, will make an exception and allow investors to buy a VA loan assumption, you basically have to qualify for the lender that's holding that mortgage
Hmm.
already. And that lender, Michael, something I just learned, just like on new loans, they can have overlays or their own
Mm.
requirement on top of the VA's requirement as to whether or not they will approve you for a loan. So
Hmm.
I found out, unfortunately, that the lender that has the loan for the seller generally has an overlay that even though the VA will allow investors to take over the loan, they don't.
Hmm.
So I've asked for an exception, and it's gone to underwriting, and I've told them I'm not going to live in this.
Yeah.
They
Full
want to know, will
disclosure.
you live in it in the next, few months after repairs, yada yada. And I answered no, because I'm not, and I'm not going to
Right.
lie and commit mortgage fraud, right? So you
Good
always
for you.
answer these things honestly. So I said no, I'm not going to live in it, but I'm asking for an exception because the VA and PennyMac said that they will grant an exception. So it's gone out now to underwriting, and by Friday, I will either have a letter in the mail that says, we're not qualifying you because you're an investor,
Mhm.
or okay, everything looks good. Now fill out these forms and we continue to go. But they told
Yeah.
us it's essentially from the date of application, 60 to 90 days for them to approve you.
And you're about 30, 45 days into this at this point?
About 30 days in, but it's from the application, which was
Ah,
yesterday.
from
So
got
this
it.
thing could drag on quite some time.